Today we're grilling the most succulent and juicy pork chops. It all starts with choosing the right chops. The stores will usually sell two types: loin chops that are equivalent to a porterhouse or T-bone on a cow, and rib chops that are equivalent to a ribeye on a cow. The rib chops are far more tender and, in my opinion, more flavorful, but no two rib chops are created equal. Some have a bigger outer muscle, some have a smaller outer muscle, and some don't have it at all. You want the chops with the biggest outer muscle you can get. These chops are much more tender and succulent than their even-looking cousins. On beef, I would remove the outer fat cap because it hides the chewy connective tissue. But on pork, that fat is too delicious to cut off, and the connective tissue is not that chewy. I do need to score it in a few places, otherwise it will tighten up as the chops cook and prevent them from staying flat. To help the pork stay juicy, we need to salt it the day before cooking. If it's more convenient, you can do it up to 3 days ahead. This works just like brining and helps the protein hold on to its moisture during cooking. Make sure to salt all sides and do this from above for even distribution. And yes, you're welcome to add some black pepper if you want. Let's put the chops on a plate, cover with plastic, and put in the fridge. Turn all the burners on high heat. Don't worry about the mess left over from your previous meal. We'll cover it with foil and burn it all off before grilling. The foil traps the heat, making the grate a lot hotter. This results in a cleaner grill and less sticking. You can reuse the foil many times. Cover the grill and let preheat for 15 minutes. While the grill is preheating, let's make a glaze for our pork. The role of the glaze is to help the pork brown faster, thus reducing the exposure to high heat. Too much high heat toughens the meat. I'll start with a garlic clove. Let's peel it and grate it on a microplane zester to turn it into a paste. This way it will dissolve instead of burning in little pieces. A dollop of Dijon mustard will give us the much-needed acidity without much wetness. Water is the enemy of browning, so we want to avoid too many wet ingredients. A splash of soy sauce will give us umami boost. It also contains a bit of sugar that will speed up browning. Of course, the soy sauce is wet and should be used in moderation and balanced with a good bit of oil. First, mix the garlic, mustard, and soy sauce with a fork. Then add 2 tablespoons of oil while mixing. I'm using grapeseed, but you can use any oil. At first, the mixture will separate, but if you keep mixing for a minute or two, it will become smooth and creamy. Let's dry the pork thoroughly with paper towels. Any surface moisture will interfere with browning. Coat each piece in a very small amount of glaze. I'm using roughly 2 teaspoons of glaze per chop, and turn the chop from side to side to distribute the glaze evenly. I'll cook just 1 chop for now and save the other ones for my dinner. You know the grill is hot enough when the ash on the grate turns white. Scrape it off with the grill brush, working quickly to avoid losing the heat. Give the grate a few bangs for the ash to fall through. Pour a bit of oil into a folded paper towel. I'm doing it over the grill to avoid moving the camera, but you shouldn't. Fold the towel so that the oil is facing out and brush the grill. Place the pork diagonally to the grill grates and cover the grill. After 1.5 minutes, check for grill marks. If they look good, flip the meat, keeping the same orientation on the grill. In other words, if my meat was positioned bottom left to top right, I'll keep it that way. Cover the grill and wait another 1.5 minutes for the other side to brown. Check for grill marks and flip the meat again. This time, changing orientation of the meat to achieve crisscross grill marks. In other words, if your pork was first positioned bottom left to top right, place it top left to bottom right. Cover the grill and give it another minute. Check for grill marks. Flip, keeping the same orientation, and switch to low indirect heat. On my 3-burner grill, I turn the back burner off, the middle burner off, and turn the front one down to low. Position your meat away from the burner that's on. If your chops are thinner than an inch, don't even bother with the thermometer or the low heat stage of cooking, just take them off the heat now. For thicker chops, take the temperature by inserting the thermometer sideways. You're looking for 115 to 120 Fahrenheit for medium rare chops. If you're not quite there yet, keep cooking the chops on low indirect heat, checking them every minute or two. We are at 120 and I am pulling my chops off the heat. You can take all the guesswork out of resting your meat by leaving a thermometer in it. Once the temperature starts to go down, the meat is ready to serve. 130 Fahrenheit is the perfect temperature for pork that optimizes both tenderness and juiciness. And yes, it's safe to eat pork medium rare. Trichinosis parasites are basically non-existent these days. While our chop is resting, let me explain all this flipping by borrowing some footage from the steak grilling video. Direct high heat is great at achieving grill marks, but it does terrible things to the texture of the meat, overcooking the outer layers by the time the center is done. Of course, we don't want to disturb our meat until we get grill marks, but as soon as we do, we flip it to the other side to distribute the heat more evenly and to reduce exposure to prolonged high heat. As soon as you get crisscross grill marks on both sides, we want to go as low and slow as possible and continue flipping our meat every 3-4 minutes. Let's see how my favorite pork chop is doing. I'll cut it in half to show you the inside. The 2 different shades of pink are not different donennesses, they are different muscles. The darker one is the flap, my favorite part of the chop. So tender and porky. And here is the lighter pink, bigger muscle that is still perfectly succulent because it was protected from overcooking by the flap. If this won't make you want to run to your local butcher and fire up the grill, I don't know what will. More grilling next week! So, don't forget to subscribe to Helen's Kitchen channel, and if you're ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.